Brought to you by Ayoko, Africa's leading integrated technology services company. It's time for Tech Talk. Now, there's a countdown to the 2026 FIFA World Cup, and as the date fast approaches, domain aging is ahead of the game. According to Checkpoint Software, there are currently over 4,300 fake online domains masquerading as legitimate FIFA and host city assets that could lure unsuspecting soccer fans into buying tickets and offer FIFA goods from them, resulting in unauthorized access to passwords, banking details and other sensitive data being granted to scammers. Business Day's Mudiwa Gavaza joins us with more detail. Mudiwa, thanks so much for your time this afternoon. And I mean, it's no secret that scammers are getting smarter and we need to also just pull up our soxes. Now, in the case of the FIFA World Cup, as mentioned, Checkpoint Software mentions that 4,300 fake domains are really hovering on our websites as we try and buy tickets. How fast is the number growing, and what does this suggest about the scale of the operation?
Well, maybe as an indication of what's going on, that 4,300 number is literally within 2 months. Ooh. Right? Because it's from they've noted, that from the 1st of August, right? And then, until now, that's the number that they've been able, to get in against. Checkpoint released these numbers, I believe, late last week. I believe it was about Thursday last week. Mm-hmm. So who knows? Chances are, if you're doing 4,300 in that period, that's an average of maybe 2.1, 2,150 or so in a month. So per day, there are probably, hundreds of these sites that are being registered. So as much as we talk about the World Cup, it does highlight the fact that a lot of these, in cybersecurity parlance, they say threat actors, that's the term that they use, but we can also say cyber criminals, we can also say scammers. The fact that they're paying attention to things that are happening, things that are in the zeitgeist, things that are in popular culture, things that people are talking about, or things that people are excited about. Today we can be talking about the upcoming FIFA World Cup, which people around the world are going to, right? Yeah. Huge event. And FIFA makes, I think the last World Cup, FIFA made close to $1 billion, right? Which in the current exchange is 17 to 18 billion rand just from that World Cup. And about 2/3 of that amount was tickets, right? So you can see what the type of market that they're going after. You think you're buying a legitimate ticket, but your payment details end up, with someone else, but your money is gone, right? So siphoning off all of these small amounts, and you end up, raking in. Losing
even more, right?
Yeah, you do, because at some point you're going to discover that you've paid for a fake ticket, or that you have a fake ticket. And depending on your appetite, you'll then be forced to go and get a legitimate ticket, or you might just say, okay, fine, it's fine. Let me cut my losses. I'll take an L, and then, just forego the entire experience as a whole. But the consumer is the one that loses, at the end of the day. You could also say that FIFA also loses from ticket sales and that type of thing,
What's been interesting with the increase of, such fraudulent activity, such scams, is that it does get more and more consumers talking. I'm thinking of the case of the Kanye West concert that's supposed to happen in December, where so many people don't know if it's happening, if it's not happening, should you buy the ticket, should you not? So, we can say that consumers are a bit more vigilant. They're a bit more, more hang 10 when it comes to acquiring some of these tickets when there isn't, confirmation, I guess, from the artist or from FIFA itself. Does the research, just back to that research, does it show or give any insight in terms of the significant risk in regions? So are South Africans more prone to buying those fake tickets?
So from what we were able to gather from the research, because this is something that is a global event,
Yes.
right? And if you think about a couple of the World Cups that tend to happen, we highlighted this because as much as it's happening elsewhere, South Africans tend to go, to some of these events. Of course, this is a football World Cup. It's different from a rugby
Yes.
World Cup, because in a rugby World Cup, you tend to have Springboks, and you know that South Africans are going to be, following the matches. But that doesn't negate the fact that there's a lot of soccer fans. Soccer is the biggest sport in South Africa and the continent. So you're going to have a lot of people that will want to, those that can afford, will want to go live. And to your earlier point, this is something that has actually been this is something that's confirmed. Every 4 years this thing is going to
Yes.
happen. So if you're a scammer, you can sit there and plan, for quite a while. The Kanye West thing, it does make sense. I've also had a lot of conversation around, is it happening, is it not happening? So that's something, once again, another opportunity for possible scammers to come in. Directly addressing your question, they did note in the research something that they're calling linguistic targeting,
Okay.
where they noted that in terms of audience, they were targeting English for streaming, and then they were also targeting Spanish and Portuguese for ticketing and merchandise when it comes to these platforms that they're creating, and then they were also doing French for European markets. So you can see, if you do English, if you do Spanish, Portuguese, and French, that covers you in a lot of countries that are interested in football, whether you're talking on the European continent, whether you're talking elsewhere in the world, because English is quite prevalent, Western countries, Africa, French, Africa, Europe, and then same with the Portuguese, and then your Spanish for South, right? So
Yeah.
they've been quite clever in how they're doing this. So once again, it's an international play, and you can even see the way that that they're going about this.
It makes me think that not one individual is behind these kind of cams, and it could be some sort of a syndicate.
Yeah. So what's interesting now is that all the cybersecurity companies are telling us that you need to stop thinking about the nerdy or dorky guy wearing a hoodie in their mom's basement. Stop thinking about that when we talk about hacks and hackers. You need to think about well-organized entities, in certain instances registered companies, that are actually perpetrating some of these crimes. These are people that are coming in, they're clocking in and clocking out every day. It's a 9 to 5, right, that people are doing. It's just an interesting one I'll just bring up now. I remember one of the other cybersecurity companies which competes with Checkpoint is called Trend Micro. And they actually noted it for us to say, if you look at certain patterns, there tends to be reduced hacking activity around the 4th of July, because hackers go on holiday.
Oh,
It's the 4th of July. It's a national holiday, right? To the point that I'm trying to make, to say
people clock in.
People are clocking in and clocking out. So there's a lot of organization, there's a lot of sophistication around some of these things. And then I think in its highest form, you have different groups coming together and actually banding their resources, to make some of these things happen. The last thing I will just mention, I remember a few weeks ago we chatted with one of the cyber experts at Visa. And he was highlighting something that he calls costly confidence, because in many instances, people always think cyber attacks and hacks are going to happen to someone else. People always think that they can spot a scam
Until it happens to you.
until it happens to you. And what we're talking about is a great example, of that, because as much as we're talking about the FIFA World Cup, we could be talking about anything. Recently, Scorpion Kings had a huge concert. That's the type of thing that, you're taking into account. Soon there's going to be a Kanye West concert. That's a huge opportunity for this type of activity. You do something called spoofing. You're creating a fake website that looks like the legitimate thing. And the thing is, we as consumers think that we are sophisticated. We think that, oh, I'll be easily able to just tell that, oh no, that URL looks funny, that domain name, is off. But guys are registering actual .coms, and they're making sites that literally look like the legitimate one. So in certain cases, you're being redirected, and you don't even know that some of this stuff is happening.
Well, unfortunately, we have to leave it there, Mudiwa. Thanks so much for your time and your insights this afternoon. Now, that was Business Days, Mudiwa Gavaza. Brought to you by Ayoko, Africa's leading integrated technology services company.